Okay, sorry about the videos. One of the symptoms of the involuntary exposure is an inability to maintain focus, like concentration and focus disrupted. But here we have the fun of the fingerprints of the plutocracy, right? So I simply Googled marijuana legalization cause increasing mental illness. Now, above it, right there, scholarly articles for marijuana legalization increasing mental illness, cannabis and mental illness, use disorder. And then you get the top thing, featured snippet. And marijuana legalization is not associated with increased mental illness or suicide. But look at the website, marijuanamoment.net. So, and right below it, of course, marijuana, mental illness, and violence. We'll scroll down in a second. But this is how stupid Americans are. They won't be like, well, the people selling us marijuana said the marijuana is harmless. Surely there's no conflict of interest there. We can trust the people selling us drugs to say that they would be honest and tell us the truth about if their drugs caused harms and therefore we wouldn't buy them. It's not like they would lie for a profit. Google said so, and then the guy on the YouTube did. He's a psychiatrist. And then we scroll down. Marijuana, mental illness, and violence. But a mountain of peer-reviewed research in top medical journals shows that marijuana can cause or worsen severe mental illness, especially psychosis. Is there a link between marijuana use and psychiatric disorders? Several studies have linked marijuana use to increase risk for psychiatric disorders, including psychosis, schizophrenia, depression. Then you get APA.org, may help reduce pain, PTSD, and anxiety. I already covered that. High rates of mental health disorders, including anxiety, PTSD, etc. People who use, and then the CDC, right? The psychiatrist, Dr. Sheklenose or whatever, the Ask a Psychiatrist guy on YouTube, he's clearly in opposition to the CDC on this one. Like, oh, I guess I better believe the guy who says the things that the marijuana lobby wants to hear. CDC, more likely to develop temporarily psychosis, and that does not require a pre-existing genetic component. Frontier sin, when cannabis use goes wrong. States that legalize marijuana are now researching mental, right, and mental illness, yeah. So basically, they know it's causing mental illness. Oh, that's NBC. Kids Health? Why is that in Kids Health? Because junkies smoke weed around their kids, right? Yeah, they know that it's causing schizophrenia. So yeah, here's the NBC one. States legalize marijuana, researching mental health risks in high potency cannabis. Like they didn't research that before they legalized it? Don't think that would have been a good idea? Hey, what if we researched any potential harms before we legalize it? No, let's legalize it first and then see what happens. And so then I Google CBD causing mental illness and cannabinoids and schizophrenia, risks and therapeutic. CBD has no psychoactive effects. So if CBD has no psychoactive effects, then it does not effectively treat psychosis the way Dr. Liar there is claiming. But a lot of these are claiming that it actually helps reduce psychiatric symptoms. I am skeptical to that because that was not my personal experience, but anecdotal testimony is just that. I find that I do the best without any drugs, including no CBD. But even the thing. Oh, I just lost it. Hang on one second. Yeah. Mental health effects, the impacts of THC and CBD. Says that there's no actual research that proves that CBD helps schizophrenia. There it is. Sorry. Conclusion. There is insufficient evidence for the effect of THC on symptoms, cognition, and neuroimaging measures of brain functioning. So research does not support recommending THC or CBD for treating patients with schizophrenia. And that was NCBI, right? So my theory was it's the serotonin, because if you Google cannabis and serotonin, there's serotonin toxicity associated with hyperemesis and suicides, etc. And one of the major antipsychotic medications is the serotonin reuptake inhibitor. I figured that was at least one connection with the schizophrenia, but so then you get the same one 2 years earlier, same site, saying CBD was associated with a significant decrease in psychotic symptoms. So it's like, what the fuck? Are they all lying? Or, like, why does this ncbi.nlm.nih.gov have contradicting research? And it's really, this is where you really get to where your paranoia is accurate, to that they're out to get you. THC may have a negative effect on schizophrenia symptoms. That's been studied since like the 1950s and definitively established the connection with marijuana and schizophrenia. So for them to say may, it's like, what a retard. Like, oh, why all this stuff exists that we've already known that marijuana's caused schizophrenia for like at least 70 years, but, you know, gotta make a buck. And then I Googled marijuana legalization increasing mental illnesses, gold mine for psychiatrists. And there's a lot of stuff there. I'll see if I can hold this phone with my stump. Guess not. But, and all that stuff there. Sorry, one sec. What a pain in the butt. I'll just do a selfie. Cannabis legalization, what psychiatrists need to know. Longitudinal analysis of 505,796 respondents found an increased diagnosis of CUD at ages 12 to... That's the one I had the screenshots on in the last video. Marijuana, mental illness, and violence. And they just discussed the increase of violence, depression, and suicides with legalization. That's been happening for like over 10 years now. A new study suggests there's a link between medical marijuana laws and mental illness. Does cannabis cause, exacerbate, or ameliorate psychiatric disorders? Although heavy cannabis use by individuals with this psychotic disorder, that's just saying what we already know, that it does worsen and cause psychosis. Marijuana, law enforcement, and mental health. It must be considered how the increased accessibility of marijuana in many areas might affect the well-being of people with mental illnesses. Yeah, they don't give a shit. Police are corrupt. Just like the doctor here. Long term is... this is just all saying stuff we already know. Forced psychiatry brutality. Defend against forced drugging. That is interesting because that's exactly what I go through, is forced drugging. But, yeah, so, then I increased marijuana legalization, increasing mental illnesses, page 2. Page 2 shows a daily pot tied to the first age of first psychotic episode, impact of legal marijuana and professional counseling. I'm running out of the 10-minute time here for TikTok, so I'll click on these and do them in the next video, but yeah. Clearly, they know it's causing mental illness, and you still have scumbags like Ask a Psychiatrist who are like, yeah, it should be legal. I mean, I'll admit that it causes mental illness, but it should be legal.